There's a currency more valuable than money, more convincing than logic, more powerful than any closing trick you'll ever learn, and almost nobody uses it. In 1921, Charles Schwab was getting paid over $1 million a year. Not in today's money, in 1921 dollars. That's like $20 million today. Let that sink in. $20 million a year in an era when most people earn a few thousand. He was the first person in American business to ever make that kind of money. And here's what's crazy. Schwab wasn't the smartest guy at the company. He wasn't a technical genius. There were plenty of engineers and executives who knew more about steel than he did. Andrew Carnegie, the guy signing those checks, knew it. So why was Schwab worth that kind of money? Carnegie explained it simply. Schwab had an amazing ability to get people excited. And how did he do it? Through appreciation. Not flattery, not empty compliments, not the fake corporate cheerleading that everyone sees through in about 3 seconds. Real, specific, heartfelt appreciation. Schwab described it like this. I'm quick to praise, but slow to find fault. If I like something, I let people know it. That was the secret. That was the $20 million skill. The ability to make people feel valued, to make them feel seen, to make them feel like what they did mattered. Here's what Carnegie understood about people. Something that psychology has proven over and over again. There is a hunger in every person that almost never gets filled. The hunger to feel important. William James called it the deepest need in human nature, the need to be appreciated. Not the wish, not the preference, the need. Think about what that means. A need isn't something you can ignore. It doesn't go away when you distract yourself. A need like this drives behavior. It shapes decisions. And this need for importance, for recognition, for appreciation, it's running in every single person you'll ever sell to. Every CEO, every first-time buyer, every gatekeeper, every decision maker, they all have this need. And most of the time, it's not being met. Because here's the truth about the world we live in. Most people are starving for appreciation. They work hard. They try their best. They make sacrifices nobody sees. And what do they get? Criticism when they mess up. Silence when they do well. Their bosses notice when something goes wrong, but ignore their wins. Their partner remembers to complain, but forgets to say thanks. Their clients expect great work, but rarely say so. This is how most people go through their days. And when you really get that, when you feel the weight of that unmet need, everything changes. I learned this during my years doing face-to-face fundraising in New Zealand. Now, by this point, I'd been fundraising for almost 9 years. Pop-up events, shopping centers, festivals. My pitch was totally dialed. I knew how to stop people, start a conversation, and get them to sign up. I was good at it. But then I made the shift to door-to-door. And it was a whole different game. At a pop-up, if someone's not interested, they just keep walking. No big deal. You move on to the next person. But at a door, someone looks at you, decides they don't want to talk, and shuts the door in your face. That hits different. It's personal in a way that pop-ups never were. And I had to learn how to deal with that, how to not let it get to me, how to keep showing up with energy even after 10 rejections in a row. One evening, I was working a neighborhood in Auckland about 6 p.m., the sweet spot when people are home from work but haven't started dinner yet. I knocked on a door. An older woman answered. She must have been in her 70s. White hair, kind eyes, flowered apron. And instead of jumping into my script, I noticed something. Her garden. It was beautiful. Roses along the walkway. Herbs in neat rows. A bird bath in the corner with lavender all around it. And without thinking, I said, "Excuse me, before I tell you why I'm here, I have to ask, did you plant all of this yourself? And her face changed. She didn't just smile, she lit up. "Oh," she said, "I've been working on this garden for 23 years. 23 years. And for the next 10 minutes, she told me about it. The roses were cuttings from her mother's garden. The lavender brought bees, which she loved watching on summer mornings. The bird bath was a gift from her late husband. I just listened, asked questions, appreciated. And when she finally asked what I was doing in the neighborhood, I told her about the charity. She signed up on the spot. Not because my pitch was good, not because I had the best stats or the most powerful story, but because I'd done something that almost nobody had done for her in a long time. I noticed her. I appreciated her work. I made her feel like she mattered. That garden was 23 years of effort and love and care, and most people just walked right past it. I stopped and saw it. That's the power of appreciation. Now, here's where most people get this wrong. They hear appreciation and they think flattery. They think they need to shower people with compliments, tell them how great they are, butter them up before going for the close. And that backfires almost every time because people can feel the difference between real appreciation and being played. Carnegie was clear about this. He said the difference between appreciation and flattery is simple. One is real, the other's fake. One comes from the heart, the other comes from the teeth. When you flatter someone, you're using them. When you appreciate someone, you're seeing them. And people know the difference right away. So how do you make sure your appreciation is real? Here's the test I use. Before I appreciate anything, I ask myself, is this actually true? Do I actually admire this? Would I say this if I had nothing to gain? If the answer is yes, I say it. If the answer is no, I stay quiet. Because fake appreciation is worse than none at all. It breaks trust. It makes people feel used. It creates the opposite of connection. But real appreciation, honest, specific, from the heart, is like water in the desert. Think about your last few sales conversation. How much time did you spend appreciating your prospect? Not complimenting, not flattering, appreciating. Noticing the challenges they've worked through, recognizing the effort they've already put in, seeing the things they're proud of, their team, their growth, how far they've come. Most salespeople spend zero time on this. They're so locked into their agenda, qualifying, presenting, handling objections, closing, that they forget the human being sitting in front of them. And that human being is starving. Not for your solution, not for your features and benefits, for recognition, for appreciation, for someone to finally see them. Carnegie tells a story about a young boy named Stevie Morris. Stevie was born early, and too much oxygen in his incubator damaged his eyes. He was blind. He went to school like any other kid, but things weren't easy. He couldn't see the board, couldn't read the books. He was different. And then one day, his teacher noticed something. The other kids were looking for a mouse that had gotten into the classroom. They could hear it scratching in the walls, but they couldn't find it. Stevie said, "It's over there, in the corner, behind the bookshelf." And he was right. His teacher could have said nothing, could have just moved on with the lesson. Instead, she stopped the class and said, "Stevie, you have incredible ears. You heard exactly where the mouse was when none of us could find it. What a gift you have." That moment of appreciation changed his life. Stevie Morris grew up to become Stevie Wonder. And he's talked about how this teacher's recognition, that moment of being seen for what he could do instead of what he couldn't, helped him find his gift of music. One moment of real appreciation. One person who noticed what was special instead of what was missing. That's the power you hold in every conversation. Here's your practice for this lesson. In your next 3 conversations, sales calls, meetings, even chats with coworkers, Find something specific and real to appreciate. Not great job, that's too vague. Not love what you're doing, that's empty. Something specific. The way you laid out the presentation made it so easy to follow. I can tell you've put real thought into how your team works. The fact that you've grown this far without outside money is really impressive. Specific, real, from the heart. And watch what happens. Watch how people open up. Watch how the energy in the room shifts. Watch how suddenly they want to keep talking to you. That's not manipulation. That's human connection. And it's the foundation of every lasting relationship in the sales and in life. But appreciation alone isn't enough, because the question remains, once you've made someone feel valued, how do you actually move them towards action? That's where Carnegie's third big idea comes in. And it's the one that separates average salespeople from great ones. You want to know the difference between average salesperson and the ones who seem to close without even trying? It's not their product knowledge. It's not their confidence. It's not their closing tricks. It's one simple shift that people never make. They stop talking about what they want and start talking about what the other person wants.
Hey, thanks for checking out this clip from the Sales Evolution Lab podcast. If you found value in this lesson, be sure to hit subscribe to evolve for the future of selling. And if you want the full breakdown, the deeper stories, the practical toolkit, check out the full episode. Just click the video on the screen, and I'll see you there.